At this very moment, a version of you is living the consequences of decisions that you haven't even made yet. Physicist Jean-Pierre Garnier-Mallet has demonstrated that you exist simultaneously at different speeds of time. While you live second by second, your double has already explored thousands of possible futures. That sudden certainty not to do something arises because he has already lived through the disaster. The irresistible impulse to completely change your life comes from him, having experienced the dead end that you still cannot see. You repeat the same mistakes as your parents because you ignore the warnings that arrive during deep sleep. Every déjà vu is you finally reaching a moment that your double has already lived and transmitted to you. If there is a version of you working day and night to map out the best paths, testing thousands of possibilities for your protection, why do you insist on ignoring the signs? The disturbing question: how many tragedies have you already avoided without knowing it, thanks to the warnings from your double?
Someone is living your future consequences at this exact moment. The French physicist Jean-Pierre Garnier-Mallet has mathematically proven that you exist simultaneously in at least 2 different temporal speeds, and the accelerated version of you is constantly trying to send information to prevent you from making mistakes that it has already experienced. In 1988, Garnier-Mallet made a discovery that should have completely changed our understanding of reality. Working with fluid mechanics, he developed equations that demonstrate the unfolding of time and space. His theory, published by the American Institute of Physics between 1998 and 2006, reveals that time does not flow uniformly like a single current. It unfolds in layers that operate at radically different speeds. The discovery began when Garnier-Mallet was investigating the movement of particles in fluids. He realized that to explain certain quantum behaviors, it was necessary to consider that particles existed in multiple temporal dimensions simultaneously. The mathematics only worked when he introduced the concept of unfolding, the same particle living in times that flow at different speeds. According to the theory of unfolding, while you live your life at this moment perceiving time in a linear fashion, second after second, day after day, there exists a double of you who lives in an imperceptible time, billions of times faster than your conscious time. To be clearer, this parallel version of you acts in a very, very short time, so small that we can barely measure it. Between these rhythms, there are temporal openings, extremely brief instants in which the double, moving in an accelerated time that seems normal to him, can exchange information with our slow time. This double is yourself, operating at a temporal speed so accelerated that it manages to explore thousands of possibilities while you blink. When you are considering an important decision, accepting a job, ending a relationship, moving to another city, your double has already explored all of these possibilities. He has already lived the consequences, experienced the results, and mapped out the paths. The exchange of information between you and your double happens through temporal openings. These openings occur mainly during paradoxical sleep, those moments when the brain is highly active, but the body remains paralyzed. During these intervals, which last fractions of a second in our time, but represent extensive periods in accelerated time, information flows from the double to ordinary consciousness. This is why so many scientific discoveries have happened during sleep. Mendeleev saw the complete periodic table in a dream. Kekulé discovered the structure of benzene after dreaming of a serpent biting its own tail. Tesla claimed to receive his inventions ready-made during states of deep relaxation. It was the double transmitting solutions that it had already tested at accelerated speed. Garnier-Mallet demonstrated that this communication also occurs during moments of deep relaxation throughout the day, those sudden insights that arise during a shower, while driving on a familiar road, or in meditative states. All are moments when the barrier between times becomes more permeable. The rational mind, which operates in slow time, needs to quiet down so that information from fast time can emerge. The most revolutionary aspect of the discovery is that the double is not predicting the future. He is living potential futures in accelerated real time. When you receive a strong intuition not to take a certain path, not to make that trip, not to accept that proposal, it is your double transmitting experiences that he has already lived through. He has already gone through that situation thousands of times in different variations and is sending the consolidated result. The theory also explains why certain people seem to have extraordinary luck or make consistently correct decisions. They have developed, consciously or not, a stronger connection with their double. They are more receptive to the information flowing from accelerated time. They trust those apparently irrational sensations that are, in fact, consolidated data from thousands of already lived experiences. Lucille Mallet, Jean-Pierre's wife and co-author of the book about temporal openings, documented hundreds of cases where people learned to consciously access this information. Executives who made counterintuitive business decisions based on hunches and achieved extraordinary success. Doctors who diagnosed rare conditions by following inexplicable intuitions. Ordinary people who avoided fatal accidents by obeying sudden impulses to change their route. The mathematics behind the unfolding reveals something even deeper. The double not only explores potential futures, he constantly creates and modifies them based on the information that you send through your thoughts and intentions. There is constant feedback between the two times. Your desires and concerns in slow time are processed and expanded in fast time, generating new scenarios that are tested instantaneously. This discovery has immediate practical implications. Every time you ignore a strong intuition, you are discarding the result of thousands of simulations already performed. Every time you force a purely rational decision against a visceral feeling, you are choosing to operate with limited data when you could have access to complete information. If you are not aware of this reality, you are navigating through life with access to only a minimal fraction of the information available to you. Your double continues working, exploring, and testing, but the information is lost because you have not developed the reception channels. It is like having a supercomputer processing vital data for your life, but with the monitor turned off. The time that you experience now, this apparently constant flow of moments that follow one another, is a particular construction of human consciousness. The perception that we are born, grow, age, and die creates the illusion that time exists as a straight line from the past to the future, but the universe operates in a completely different way. Garnier Mallet demonstrated that time functions in an eternal present. Past, present, and future coexist simultaneously in different layers of reality. When you access a memory, you are not recovering something that has already passed. You are tuning into a frequency that continues to exist on another temporal plane. When your double explores potential futures, he accesses realities that already exist, waiting to be chosen and manifested. The physicist Tom Campbell expanded this understanding with his virtual reality theory, published in My Big Toe, My Big Theory of Everything. Campbell demonstrates that our reality functions like a rendered video game, where true consciousness is the player who controls, and the physical body is just the avatar being controlled. His theory converges perfectly with the discoveries of Garnier Mallet. According to Campbell, who spent decades working with Robert Monroe at the Monroe Institute, researching altered states of consciousness, our true consciousness was never born and will never die. It simply switches characters to have new experiences, like a player who finishes one level and starts another. The physical body that you inhabit now is a temporary interface for interacting with this specific plane of reality. This understanding completely transforms the concept of the double. Garnier-Mallet's double is your true consciousness, the player operating outside the limits of the game. While your avatar is stuck to the rules of linear time, processing information sequentially, your true consciousness operates free from these limitations. It can see the entire board, test moves, go back, and experiment with different strategies simultaneously. Quantum physics confirms this non-linear nature of time. At the quantum level, particles exist in superposition, occupying multiple states simultaneously until they are observed. The double-slit experiment demonstrates that an electron passes through both slits at the same time when not observed. It only chooses a path when consciousness intervenes through observation. Your double operates at this quantum level of reality, where all possibilities coexist. He is not limited to exploring one future at a time. He navigates through infinite probabilities simultaneously, collapsing them into specific information that can be transmitted to your ordinary consciousness. This is why an intuition can contain such precise and complex information condensed into an instantaneous sensation. The illusion of linear time is necessary for the human experience. Without it, there would be no learning, growth, or evolution. You need to experience the consequences of your choices sequentially to extract meaning and develop wisdom. But this perceptive limitation does not define the fundamental nature of reality. Garnier-Mallet discovered that our consciousness, being a fragment of the Creator himself, or of universal consciousness, as you prefer to call it, always maintains a connection with the totality. The double is that bridge. He is you operating with full access to the matrix of possibilities, while your ordinary perception experiences only one line of that matrix at a time. This explains phenomena that defy conventional temporal logic, premonitions that come true with impossible precision, people who dream about future events in specific details, documented cases of clairvoyance where information about distant places is accessed instantaneously. Linear time is a rule of the game, not a universal law. Neuroscience is beginning to confirm these discoveries. Benjamin Libet's experiments demonstrated that the brain initiates an action up to 10 seconds before the person becomes conscious of the decision to act. The brain already knows what is going to happen before ordinary consciousness processes the decision. This only makes sense if we consider that temporal communication is happening. The double has already processed the decision and sent the command before linear consciousness perceives it. When you understand that time is not a prison, but a tool of experience, your entire relationship with reality changes. Your regrets about the past lose their power. Those realities continue to exist and can be resignified. Your anxieties about the future dissolve. Potential futures are being constantly adjusted based on your present choices. The double is yourself operating outside of the temporal matrix. It is your true consciousness, free from the bonds of sequential time, constantly working to optimize your experience within the game. Every intuition, every presentiment, every revealing dream is a message from this expanded version of you, trying to guide you along the path of least resistance through the labyrinth of possibilities. You are simultaneously creating and discovering your future. The double is not trapped in a predetermined destiny. He navigates through an ocean of potentials that constantly reorganize themselves based on every thought, every decision, and every intention that you manifest in ordinary time. When you ponder about accepting that new job, your double is already working. While your conscious mind weighs pros and cons at linear speed, your double penetrates that possibility, experiences the work environment, experiments with the dynamics with colleagues, feels the impact on your personal life, maps the opportunities that will arise and the challenges you will face. All of this happens in Planck time. the smallest fraction of time that exists in the universe, completely imperceptible to your ordinary consciousness. Garnier Mallet identified the precise mechanism of this communication. During REM sleep, when your brainwaves oscillate between 4 and 7 Hz in the theta frequency, temporal windows open. Your physical body remains motionless, but your consciousness unfolds, creating a bridge between the slow time that you experience and the accelerated time where your double operates. In these temporal openings, condensed information from thousands of experiences flows from fast time to slow time. The process works through the exchange of light information. Your double, operating at the speed of light squared, manages to process and transmit data through photons that carry encoded information. This information arrives at your brain as patterns of quantum interference that are decoded into sensations, images, and insights. Thomas Edison maintained a specific technique to access this information. He would sit in an armchair holding metal balls in his hands over metal plates. When he began to doze off and his muscles relaxed, the balls would fall onto the plates, waking him at the exact moment of the temporal opening. He called this the genius gap. It was in this hypnagogic state that his inventions arrived ready-made. The mathematician Srinivasa Ramanujan claimed that the goddess Namagiri showed him formulas in dreams. He would wake up and write them down, later discovering that they were mathematically perfect, some only being proven decades later with advanced computers. Ramanujan was describing, in mystical language, the same phenomenon that Garnier Mallet mapped scientifically, the transmission of information from the double through temporal openings. Communication does not happen only during sleep. Throughout the day, temporal micro-openings occur constantly. They are those moments when you zone out for fractions of a second, when your mind wanders during a repetitive task, when you go on autopilot while driving a familiar route. In these intervals, which last milliseconds in ordinary time but represent hours in accelerated time, your double injects information into your consciousness. Buddhist monks have known this mechanism for millennia. Vipassana meditation specifically trains the ability to perceive these gaps, these spaces between thoughts where information from the double can emerge. The more you develop the ability to perceive these intervals, the more access you have to the information that your double is constantly transmitting. There is a two-way street in this communication. Before sleeping, you can consciously send questions to your double. Garnier Mallet developed a specific protocol. Mentally formulate a clear and specific question, not in the form of a problem, but as a request for a solution. Show me the best path regarding works better than what should I do about? Your double will process this question during the night, exploring hundreds of variations and consolidating the answer. The quality of the question determines the quality of the answer. Vague questions generate diffuse intuitions. Specific questions with a clear intention produce precise and actionable insights. This is why people who keep journals of questions before sleeping report a dramatic increase in insights and creative solutions. The emotional state directly interferes with the quality of communication. Fear, anxiety, and stress create static noise that distorts the transmission. This is why the worst decisions are made in states of panic, when communication with the double is completely blocked by emotional noise. Calm and confidence create clean channels of transmission. Alcohol and certain drugs temporarily block this communication. They may create the illusion of insights, but they are actually generating noise that prevents the real transmission of information from the double. This is why decisions made under the influence of these substances often turn out to be disastrous. You are operating completely disconnected from your source of expanded information. On the other hand, intermittent fasting and certain breathing practices dramatically amplify communication. Holotropic breathing developed by Stanislav Grof, creates states where temporal openings expand. Shamanic practices that use rhythmic breathing and drums at specific frequencies, 4 to 7 Hz, matching theta waves, facilitate conscious access to the double. Your double does not predict the future. He navigates through potential futures that exist as quantum probabilities, choosing and transmitting information about the paths most aligned with your deep intentions. Every choice you make collapses some probabilities and opens others, in a constant dance between the observer and the observed, between the player and the game. The first sign is the extremely vivid dreams that leave you disoriented upon waking. You open your eyes, and for a few seconds, you cannot distinguish which reality is the real one. These dreams have a different quality, more intense colors, palpable physical sensations, and emotions that persist hours after waking up. Garnier Mallet explains that during these dreams, your consciousness is literally experiencing other timelines through the double. You are not dreaming about possibilities, you are experiencing them at accelerated speed. Recurring dreams amplify this phenomenon. When the same scenario repeats night after night with small variations, your double is insisting on a crucial message that you are not consciously grasping. He repeats the transmission until the information penetrates your conscious barrier. Pay special attention when you know things in the dream that you do not know in waking life. You know the names of people you have never seen, understand languages you do not speak, possess skills you do not have. These are direct experiences of the expanded reality of your double. The second sign manifests as sudden intuitions that arise out of nowhere with overwhelming force. You are driving normally and suddenly feel that you must change your route immediately. There is no logical reason, no conscious information justifies it, but the sensation is so intense that ignoring it causes physical discomfort. Minutes later, you discover that you avoided a serious accident on the original route. Your double has already experienced that accident at accelerated speed and transmitted the alert in the form of urgent intuition. These intuitions have specific characteristics. They arise complete and instantaneous, without a process of gradual construction. They come accompanied by intense physical sensations in the stomach or chest. The more you try to rationalize them, the weaker they become. The linear mind cannot process the density of information that comes compacted in the intuition, so it tries to dismantle it into logical pieces, destroying the essence of the message in the process. The third sign is the synchronicities that multiply when you are aligned with your double. You think of someone you haven't seen in years, and that person calls minutes later. You need specific information, and a book falls from the shelf, open exactly on the page that contains the answer. Specific numbers appear repeatedly, on the clock whenever you look, on license plates in sequence, in unrelated documents, forming patterns that defy any statistical explanation. Carl Jung dedicated decades to studying these synchronicities, even collaborating with Wolfgang Pauli, a Nobel Prize-winning quantum physicist, to understand the phenomenon. They concluded that there is a causal connection principle operating in the universe, events connected by meaning, but not by cause and effect. Garnier Mallet provides the mechanical explanation. Your double, operating at accelerated speed, manages to orchestrate these apparently casual encounters by manipulating probabilities. Synchronicities are physical confirmations that you are following the path already explored and validated by your double. The fourth sign, déjà vu, has always defied conventional explanations. Neuroscience tries to explain it as a failure in memory processing, but this has never clarified why, during a déjà vu, you know exactly what is going to happen in the next few seconds. You know the next words that will be said, the gesture someone will make, the sound that will come next. Garnier-Mallet offers the definitive answer. You are living a moment that your double has already experienced and transmitted to you during sleep. When the scene unfolds in linear time, your brain instantly recognizes the previously received pattern. Frequent déjà vus indicate precise alignment with the path mapped by your double. You are following the script that has already been tested and optimized. The complete absence of déjà vu, on the other hand, suggests disconnection. You are consistently ignoring the guidance and forcing unexplored paths, navigating blind when you could have a map. The fifth sign happens when you wake up with complete solutions to complex problems. Auguste Kekule struggled for years trying to understand the molecular structure of benzene. One afternoon, dozing in front of the fireplace, he saw fire serpents biting their own tails. He woke up with the instant understanding that benzene had a circular structure, revolutionizing organic chemistry. During that brief nap, his double-processed infinite molecular configurations transmitted the answer in symbolic form that his mind could understand. This works because, during sleep or states of deep relaxation, your double has full access to your questions without interference from the critical conscious mind. He tests thousands of variations, combines information in ways that the linear mind would never consider, cross-references from completely different domains, and then consolidates everything into a unique and elegant insight that emerges complete upon awakening. The sixth sign is the sudden and absolute changes of direction in life. You wake up on an ordinary morning and know with unshakable certainty that you need to end that relationship of years, or that you should refuse that promotion that everyone considers unmissable, or that you need to return to your hometown after decades. It is not a desire, a wish, or a consideration. It is absolute knowledge, a certainty that comes from a place deeper than thought. These sudden changes occur when your double finally manages to break through the constant noise of the conscious mind with an urgent message about a critical deviation needed. People who ignore these sudden impulses frequently report, years later, that that was the exact moment when they should have changed everything. They forced the continuity of a timeline that the double had already identified as a path of unnecessary suffering. The seventh sign is the instant and inexplicable recognition of new people and places. You meet someone for the first time, but feel like you have known this person forever. The conversation flows as if you were picking up where you left off, not starting from zero. Or you arrive in a city where you have never been and know exactly where each street is, which path to take, where to find that specific cafe. Your double has already interacted with that person's double in other timelines, has already explored that place in parallel realities. The recognition is literal. You are recognizing something already known in another time, at another speed of experience. These people and places are part of your expanded journey, and the encounter in linear time is just the consolidation of a connection that already exists in other temporal dimensions. There is a specific moment before sleep when your brain transitions between states of consciousness. It is in this window that you must act. Garnier-Mallet developed a precise protocol that thousands of people have applied with documented results. The process begins when you lie down, but before you fall completely asleep. First, mentally acknowledge the existence of your double, not as an exercise of imagination, but as a fact. He is operating at this moment, exploring possibilities while you prepare to sleep. Address him mentally, in clear and direct thought. Use your own words, but maintain the intention. I recognize your existence and your constant work on my behalf. Next, give thanks. Your double works tirelessly, testing thousands of scenarios, navigating through potential futures, sending alerts and guidance that you often ignore. This gratitude is not an empty ritual. It creates a frequency of receptivity. Sincere gratitude opens channels of communication that skepticism and indifference keep closed. Now comes the crucial part: formulate your questions. But pay attention, the way you ask determines the quality of the answer. Closed questions that seek yes or no drastically limit the spectrum of information that can be transmitted. Instead of asking, "Should I accept this job?" formulate it as, "Show me the consequences of accepting this job," or "Reveal to me the path of greatest growth regarding this opportunity." Lucille Mallet documented cases where the difference in formulation completely changed the nature of the response. A woman repeatedly asked, "Should I get divorced?" and woke up confused without clarity. When she changed it to, "Show me what I need to see about my marriage," she woke up with a deep understanding of patterns she had been repeating since childhood. The solution came not as a binary decision, but as an understanding that transformed the relationship. Sincerity is fundamental. Your double is you. He knows your true intentions, your unadmitted fears, your hidden desires. Pretending or trying to deceive yourself creates noise in the communication. If you are afraid of the answer, admit that fear in the question. Show me what I need to see, even if it is uncomfortable. Paradoxically, admitting the fear dissolves its interference in the transmission. Keep a notebook beside the bed. Not just any notebook. Dedicate one specifically for this. The act of separating a physical object for this purpose signals to your unconscious the importance of the process. Upon waking, before even fully opening your eyes, grab the notebook. The first seconds after awakening are crucial. The bridge between states of consciousness is still open. Write everything, even if it seems absurd, especially if it seems absurd. The rational mind immediately tries to filter and organize information from the double into known categories, discarding what doesn't fit. But frequently, it is the apparently meaningless elements that contain the most important information. A man documented a dream where he was eating blue oranges. Weeks later, a business opportunity arose with a company whose logo was exactly a blue orange, the same opportunity that transformed his financial life. Consistency amplifies the connection. Doing this sporadically produces sporadic results. But when you establish a daily rhythm, something fundamental changes. Your double perceives that you are receptive and begins to increase the flow of information. People who maintain this practice for 30 consecutive days report a dramatic qualitative change in the clarity of messages. During the day, develop what Garnier-Mallet calls inner listening. When an intuition arises, stop for 2 seconds. Don't analyze, just acknowledge. This simple acknowledgement strengthens the channel. It is like tuning into a radio station. The more you stop at that specific frequency, the clearer the reception becomes. Intermittent fasting dramatically potentiates this connection. When your body is not processing food, especially in the 3 hours before sleeping, the energy normally directed toward digestion becomes available for subtle brain processes. Tibetan monks have known this for centuries. They do their deepest practices in a state of light fasting. Room temperature matters. Garnier-Mallet discovered that a 2-degree drop in body temperature facilitates temporal openings. Sleep in a slightly cool room with enough covers for comfort but not for excessive heat. This gentle cooling replicates the natural conditions of deep sleep when communication with the double is most intense. Avoid bright screens 1 hour before the protocol. Blue light not only interferes with melatonin production, it keeps the brain in beta state, the frequency of alert waking consciousness. You need to transition to alpha and then theta for temporal openings to occur. Candlelight or dim yellow lamps create the ideal environment. Most importantly, trust the process even when it seems like nothing is happening. Information from the double often arrives in layers, like a photograph slowly developing. What seems like an absence of response may be the processing period necessary for you to be ready to receive the complete information. Garnier-Mallet's theory of time unfolding offers a scientific explanation for experiences that all of humanity experiences, but has never fully understood. That feeling of knowing that something is going to happen before it happens. The inexplicable impulse to call someone at the exact moment when that person needed it. The irrational decision that saved your life or changed your destiny. You can choose to see this as a literal description of multiple temporal dimensions or as a sophisticated metaphor for unconscious processes. The practical result remains identical. There is a source of wisdom operating beyond your ordinary consciousness, processing information at a speed and depth impossible for the linear mind, and you can consciously access this source. When you integrate this understanding, your relationship with decisions changes fundamentally. Instead of agonizing for days over important choices, you learn to formulate the question, plant the seed in the field of your double, and wait for the answer to emerge. Executives who apply this method report disturbing accuracy in business decisions. They stop trying to force solutions through excessive analysis and begin to trust in the parallel processing of the double. A doctor in Paris documented how she began to diagnose rare conditions with inexplicable precision after applying Garnier-Mallet's protocol. Before sleeping, she would mentally review the patient's symptoms and ask the double to reveal what she was not seeing. Morning after morning, she would wake up with specific insights about where to look, what tests to order, what questions to ask. Her rate of correct diagnoses in complex cases tripled in 6 months. Navigating through life becomes a completely different process. Instead of constantly reacting to circumstances, you begin to flow with information that arrives before events. You find yourself in the right place at the right time with surprising frequency. Opportunities arise in perfect synchrony with your preparation. Obstacles dissolve before becoming problems because you received the advance warning and adjusted your route. This does not require adopting elaborate belief systems or complex esoteric practices. The protocol is straightforward. Recognize, ask, listen, thank, act. 5 steps that anyone can implement regardless of background, culture, or personal convictions. The simplicity is precisely what makes it powerful. There are no layers of ritual obscuring the fundamental mechanism. Your double is working at this exact moment. While you process these words linearly, he is exploring the implications of what you are learning, testing how to apply these concepts in your specific life, identifying the blocks that prevent your full connection. The resistance you feel, the doubts that arise. Your double is processing all of this at impossible speed, distilling understandings that will arrive in the coming days as spontaneous insights. The most revolutionary part is understanding that you are not discovering something new, but recovering a natural capacity that has been suppressed. Young children demonstrate a natural connection with the double. They know things without explanation, predict events, have imaginary friends who provide real information. Formal education systematically disconnects this capacity, teaching that only rational linear thinking is valid. Recovering this connection does not mean abandoning rationality, but expanding it. The linear mind remains essential for executing, planning, and organizing. But now it works in partnership with an infinitely more powerful processing source. It is like going from an isolated computer to one connected to a quantum supercomputer. The local machine remains important, but now has access to exponentially greater capabilities. Every intuition that you honor strengthens the channel. Every time you act based on a hunch and witness the positive result, confidence grows. It is a virtuous cycle. The more you trust, the clearer the communication becomes. The clearer the communication, the more evidence you accumulate to trust. People who consciously embark on this process describe a dramatic acceleration in their personal and professional development. The knowledge that there is a version of you navigating through potential futures, working tirelessly to optimize your experience, fundamentally changes your relationship with life. Anxiety about the future loses its power when you know you have an advanced explorer mapping the territory. Regrets about the past dissolve when you understand that every experience has been processed and integrated by the double into wisdom available now. This video did not reach you by accident. Your double has already processed the implications of this knowledge for your life. The resistance or resonance that you feel now are indicators of the alignment between your current situation and the information presented. If you made it this far, if these words are creating internal movement, it is because there is a synchronization happening between what your double already knows and what your consciousness is ready to integrate. Every change begins with understanding your role as co-creator, and the only way to connect with this divine intelligence is through meditation. We have developed a set of audio tools to help you access this higher state of consciousness. To learn more and get immediate access, click on the link on the screen or in the comments. If this video resonated with you, write in the comments, "It made sense to me."